Get me a drink before you sit down.
Without.
Oh, yeah. Man, life sucks.
None of this would have happened if the goddamn government didn't control all the booze stores. We should move to Quebec where you can get booze there anytime you want, because, I mean, every corner store's got booze. Why can't Ontario be like that instead of some goddamn backward-thinking booze police state? They got no right to tell me when I can and can't buy booze. It's my God-given right to not work and get hammered every day, and they're trying to stop me. Well, I've had enough.
But you's just one man, Percy Spencer. One fat, unwashed man. And one man can't take on no government.
Oh, I'm not gonna take on the government. I'm gonna take over the government. Percy Spencer is running for office. Just as soon as I take a dump.
What exactly are you running for?
Usually the nearest liquor store. But I kid. I want to run this fucking province because the guys doing it now are stupid a-holes.
You can't just decide to run for an elected office, Spencer. You have to go through all the official channels to be considered on the ballot.
Huh?
You're a fool. And don't think we don't know it was you who ruined our garden.
Gardens are for losers anyway. Look at me, I have flowers. La-di-da, I'm an idiot. Just to prove you wrong, I'm going to officially enter the election, and I'm going to win. And the first thing I'm going to do after I get booze in every store is outlaw gardens and the asshole people who think they're cool. Good day to you.
It sure was surprisingly quick and easy for you to become a political candidate. Not to mention, convenient.
Yes, and also quite fortunate that there just happened to be an upcoming election.
And while I would like to promise that no new taxes would be introduced, the reality remains that in order for our nation to sustain its current social programs, while at the same time addressing the deficit, there may come a need for increased taxes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Mr. Spencer, I remind you once again to please not interrupt the other candidates.
What, am I the only one who's sick of listening to some a-hole politician shoot his mouth off?
Quiet. Quiet, please. Everyone be quiet.
Oh, that's just typical. Tell the voting public to be quiet.
That's not what I,
Let him speak!
That's not how we do things.
Look, pal, this ain't fucking America. You can't just ignore the voters and do whatever the fuck you like and make up new rules and ignore other ones and shit just so you can fucking line your own fucking pocket. I mean, all politicians is lying assholes, but that jackhole takes the fucking cake. Fuck, and they wonder why people is all pissed off at them. I'll tell you why. Nobody likes the fucking dumbass, two-faced, lying, religious, crackpot bastard bully with his head jammed so far up the ass of every crooked son of a bitch corporate CEO and two-bit fucked up dictator that he's blind to the fact that the whole fucking country is on the verge of economic collapse. But as fucked up and as crooked as that guy is, at least he's got the common sense to let people buy booze whenever the fuck they want, which makes sense, because if ever there was a fucking guy who makes you want to crawl into a bottle for a few years and wait for the shitstorm of his stupidity and corruption to explode, it's that useless, drunk driving, draft dodging on a technicality, lying environmental rapist lapdog of a daddy's boy. That guy's the fucking Republican Party's hard on. He just goes wherever he's pushed.
This is Canada, Mr. Spencer.
I know! I'm just saying it's all.
But with respect to your policies, what exactly is the cornerstone of your campaign?
Forgetting for a minute that I don't really understand your question, all I gotta say is this. If you elect me as premier of this here province, then I'm gonna make sure we get civilized like Quebec and let every corner store in the province sell booze. Let's say it's 3 in the fucking morning and you just run out of coolies and you still want to have a few to take the edge off. Right now, the government makes sure you can't buy no more. I'll make sure you can get good and goddamn drunk whenever the hell you want.
That's it? And what about your economic policy, social programs, environmental issues?
I don't know. I'll hire some fucking eggheads who care and they can figure it all out. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to the toe. Miss Newt Oshawa's there tonight, and I hear from the fella she's got a store-bought rack bigger than 2 bags of potatoes stuffed in a garbage bag.
It is the norm for all candidates to remain on stage for the duration of the debate.
Go to hell! Vote for me or go to hell!
Maybe they ain't coming. What if they don't come, huh? What then, man? For God's sake, what then?
Kevin told Alan that he'd been thinking of walruses and hadn't heard what he said. Before his imaginary friend could reiterate the point, however, Kevin's posse of semi-privileged suburban kids who didn't have the balls to play for big stakes showed up.
Here's your alcohol, Kevin.
Kevin wasn't too happy with the haul since it was only enough to blind him from the harsh realities of his life for a day or so.
That's all my parents had in their liquor cabinet. Sorry.
Kevin told the boy to never, ever, under any circumstances, interrupt his drinking again.
It's just that, well, we were all kind of hoping to, do gang things, but all you seem to want to do is to have us steal alcohol from our parents, then stand around watching you get drunk. So what is we gonna do with these here morons?
As near as Kevin could figure, the best way to see if they had the stones to be a real gang was a good old-fashioned fight with another real gang, like some hardcore bikers, for instance.
We ain't gonna fight though, is we?
Of course not, Kevin said. They were just going to stand back and watch these idiots get their asses handed to them.
Ain't that gonna wreck this here free booze pipeline?
Yes, said Kevin. Yes, it would. But sometimes you had to make personal sacrifices in order to watch people get savagely beaten.
Good evening. I'm Terence Blomley with an update of tonight's election results. Joining me to offer his insight and keen analysis is journalist and political commentator Andrew Littlecock. Mr. Littlecock, what an unfortunate name. Any surprises so far?
Obviously, with less than 50% of the polls showing so far, it's too early to make any bold predictions. But I will say this, Percy Spencer has struck a chord with the public.
What's it, me?
Don't you remember you was running for premier of the province?
That doesn't sound like something I'd do.
Well, you did.
Shut up, I want to see if I'm going to be famous.
Does Percy Spencer actually have a shot at winning this election?
From what I'm hearing, this may be the closest election in history. Clearly, the voting public is fed up with the status quo of government, and I think that they are voting more for change than the actual candidate in question.
Let's talk hypotheticals. If Mr. Spencer should win, what would his government look like?
Well, if his one and only appearance is anything to go by, unwashed and ravaged by years of substance abuse and a poor diet.
You mean there's really a chance you might win?
Yeah, I guess. I don't care. Oh, for fuck's sake, I just sat down 6 hours ago. What the hell is going on?
Mr. Spencer, the polls are only open for another 2 hours. Do you have any last-minute words to constituents who still haven't visited the polls?
Look, unless you're here to visit my poll, you can piss off my goddamn property. I'm out of the race.
You heard it here first, folks. Front-runner Percy Spencer is withdrawing from the race, potentially turning his back on a 6-figure salary and all the perks and fringe benefits of being premier of the province.
Hey, hang on. 6-figure salary. I changed my mind.
Mr. Spencer, can we come in? I'd like to film you while the results come in and get a sense of your home life. I think our viewers would love it.
Sure, I'll be the one on the couch.
What do you have in mind, Kevin?
Kevin told his gang to relax and that he was going to go inside and get a gun he'd agreed to buy.
A gun? Isn't that dangerous?
Kevin told him that if they wanted to be a real gang, then they were going to need a gun. Then he told them to all wait in the alley behind the bar, and he'd be out in a minute.
Did you get it? Can I see it? This is